what now for Real Madrid? They're a million points off Barca in La Liga. That's done. Out the Copa del Rey, you've got one last chance to salvage anything from this season, and that, of course, is in the Champions League. Problem is, you're coming up against one of the favourites in PSG. Is there any argument to say, get rid of Zidane now?
No. No.
You've got 3 weeks. You've got 3 weeks to bring in someone new, someone just to freshen everything up, someone who can surely unite this dressing room.
No, not at all. Absolutely not at all. Listen, the one thing we should never forget is the quality and, at their best, the mental strength that this team actually has. Now, they haven't been shown it, but if there's ever a game where a team with that sort of quality can actually surprise us all, it's against PSG. And I think to do that, they need Zidane there. Because if you take the manager away, then it's, all of a sudden, for me, it changes far too much.
Here's the thing. If Real Madrid beats PSG, it wouldn't be a shock. I don't find it to be as shocking as some people may think. It wouldn't be a surprise because Real Madrid, talent level, is extremely high. It's just as high as that of PSG. The problem is they are not playing like it. And that's when I go back to something that we have discussed in the past. There's a lack of confidence in this team that when things start going or give sort of the signs that you're going in a negative direction, things start falling apart very quickly. It's the sort of way that a team that would be struggling with relegation would be playing like. In that sort of mentality that you expect bad things to happen. Well, when you expect bad things to happen and those things start trickling in the game, then the team falls apart and gets disjointed. And you see it individually and as a group. You don't expect that from Real Madrid. And that, part of that is on the players individually, part of that is on the group, but also part of that is on Zidane. At some point, the players that won back-to-back Champions League got to show up. And at some point, the coach that won back-to-back Champions League has to show up as well. I look at a Chelsea team right now that are simply just not very good. They're disconnected in between the lines. There doesn't seem to be a plan as to how they're going to play. Eden Hazard just kind of has a free role to go wherever he wants to, and everybody is just kind of fitting the role according to whatever Hazard is doing. But the fact of the matter is that you don't have a lot of good players out there. Batshuayi, he's not the answer to whatever question you have. Well, obviously, the absence of Morata hurts. But then again, those that criticize Morata will say, well, he's not good enough. And then that's when Edin Dzeko perhaps becomes an option. All I'm saying is that, as a whole, Chelsea are just kind of looking at each other, hoping for somebody to make a pass, somebody to complete a play, somebody to finish a chance. And they're not even creating those chances. Very limited team right now.
When a team's looking around for something... Usually where you end up, if it's not one of the players, is the manager. And I'm not so sure that this manager right now can get in the ears of these players and get them going, because they look rudderless. At the end of the day, for me, that's the coach's job. He has to get them going.
Let's bring in Gab Marcotti to the conversation. Gab is struggling with man flu at the moment, so we will be gentle with you, Gab. What's wrong with Chelsea?
I mean, I think the absences play a big part. I think Cesc Fabregas is a guy who this season, in Conte's view, he was going to be sort of the playmaker in midfield, and that's why we saw the lineup with Hazard and Morata up front. So then Morata gets himself suspended, and then he has the back problem. No Fabregas. I think this team becomes predictable. His idea was to counter that with the three sort of lightweight, free-moving Pedro, Willian, and Hazard up front, but then Willian gets hurt, Barkley comes in, and as I think Stevie mentioned, looks as if he'd never met these guys before, which he probably hadn't. And and that's it for Chelsea against an Arsenal side who I thought definitely got stronger as the game went on.
We've all done it, boys, haven't we? Well, maybe some of us more than others.
That's what you've got to say.
you sent a text, and then you think, actually, I would like to retract that.
Okay.
I didn't really want to press the send button there. How much is Conte regretting sending that text to Diego Costa, saying thank you and goodbye? Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but let's face it, they needed a Diego Costa this season.
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't know the inner workings, and we don't know what exactly happened, but what we do know is that in Diego Costa, you have a guy that you know exactly what you're going to get from him. The truth is that when you look at Chelsea players right now, a lot of them, you don't know what you're going to get. With Diego Costa, you know that he was going to run. You know that he was going to hold up play. You know he was going to score goals. And then you take the baggage that comes with him, because you understand that it's part of his personality, it's part of what he is, it's part of what makes him the player he is. You're Antonio Conte, there are better ways to deal with players. And sending a text to tell them thanks but no thanks, that was never the answer. We said it then, we'll say it now. And Chelsea right now need a lot of that personality. They're missing it.
Is it too simplistic to say?
No, I think it's. I don't think it's. I think it's obvious. You know, when they won the league with Costa and Hazard, with that combination play, particularly those two, and then at the start of the season, Morata and Hazard looked as though they had that little combination as well. But that's all disappeared. And then when you have no Morata, you have nobody. You know, a front three is all about a focal point, and then the other two are playing off him. When Morata's not around, and even recently Morata hasn't been at his best, then there's just none of that. It means that you've got Hazard picking the ball up in the halfway line, and he has to run all the way and score. That's the only way it seems that they're going to score a goal.
It seems like it's been no secret, has it, Gab, that Chelsea want a striker. Edin Dzeko very much their man, and apparently a deal done when it comes to the two clubs agreeing a fee. But Edin Dzeko is the one that they need to persuade to move. He wants a longer contract, we're hearing, and he scored and started for Roma tonight. What do we read into this soap opera?
Well, I'm not 100% sure about the fact that the deal's actually finalized between the two clubs. My understanding is that it's closed. But the difficulty with Dzeko is that he's on a very good wage at Roma, something like 160 grand a week, and he has a contract through 2020. Now, Edin Dzeko turns 32 years old in March, and from Chelsea's perspective, they're reluctant to commit to a long-term contract. My understanding is he'd like something through 2021. You know, and Chelsea's saying, well, hang on a minute. You already make a great big whack of money. You're going to want a raise to come here. And the fact of the matter is, should we commit to a big man when maybe this manager won't be around next season? Somebody else might come in and say, no, you know what? I don't want Dzeko. I want somebody else. I think that's the difficulty here. I think Chelsea would take Dzeko, but they'd really want to take him on their terms, something that allows them more flexibility. Whereas from Roma's perspective, they started him because they need the points. It's as simple as that. They're under a financial fair play settlement agreement with UEFA. They have certain financial targets to hit, and shifting Dzeko, getting his wages off the bill, and getting a fee back would go a long way towards that.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Edin Dzeko to Chelsea?
100%. If he plays, then he might be the spark. And if he doesn't play, then he's going to be on Morata. That might make him pull his socks up. So, listen, if it's going to cost the money that they've got, I think they need to just do it and get it done.
Welcome back. Let's talk some transfers, shall we? Gab Marcotti still with us. First one, Laporte going from Athletic Bilbao to Manchester City. City apparently going to pay his buyout clause, Gab.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. I think some media in Spain might have jumped the gun a little bit. But he is somebody that City and a lot of clubs have looked at for a long time. He's somebody who, you know, when he was 20, 21 years old, he looked like the next big thing. I think his development definitely has slowed a little bit since then. But, you know, the athleticism, the comfort on the ball, it's all there. And City know that he's available if they want him. And obviously they have all the money that, you know, that they were going to commit to Alexis Sanchez's wages and whatnot. They do have that money available to them right now, budgeted for. So we'll see what happens in the next few days. I think they're hoping to pay less than the buyout clause, to be honest.
In theory, though, Gab, who does he come in for? Otamendi or Stones?
I think he comes in on the bench, actually. I don't think, you know, Otamendi signed a new deal. I think they see him as somebody who longer term gives you the option to play three at the back, and who in time might replace Otamendi. But remember, to kind of get Pep's football, there's a feeling that it takes a while. And in the same way that, you know, John Stones spent a big part of his first year kind of learning the trade, as it were, under Pep Guardiola, I think that would be the plan with Laporte as well.
£60 million to sit on the bench.
Just shows you the amount of money that City have, and it actually, to me, tells me that they're not just about today. They're actually looking to not be brilliant today, but in the
What
next
about
2 or
tomorrow?
3
I feel like
seasons.
you've burst into song, Stevie.
No, but it is, and that's a smart move. It's a smart thing to do. He will be able to come in, and the fact that, you know, Pep seems to like to win every single thing he's in. The fact that they're in 4 competitions mean he'll come in and he will play some stage, which means he's not just sitting learning by watching what's going on.
Does it make a difference?
He'll be in the middle of
Does it make a difference to John Stones mentally, who's had a shocking few weeks? Seems to be an error every game. You're bringing in this sort of player. Does that necessarily affect you?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
But he better start playing better than what he has. John Stones.
John Stones on the ball is as good as anybody. To me, John Stones' problem is that I think Pep has just said to him, at no stage do I want to see you kicking the ball. I think that's the problem.
But he's not even kicking the ball at the moment. He whiffs at it.
Well, because he's always trying to pull it down. He's always trying to do the purest way through it. And sometimes it's just not on. Sometimes you just got to kick it. And he just doesn't do that. And that's never going to change, by the way, while Pep's the manager. So you can expect John Stones to be making some more mistakes.
Meanwhile, Arsene Wenger was asked about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the likelihood of him joining Arsenal, and he said it's still a long way off, Gab. How likely is it this is going to get done by the end of this window?
So this whole thing is driven by Aubameyang's people and to a lesser degree by Arsenal's director of football or head of recruitment, whatever we're going to call him, Sven Mislintat, who of course used to be in charge of scouting at Borussia Dortmund. You know, Dortmund will let him go, but they're not going to be held to ransom. Equally, Arsenal don't want to go and commit enormous wages to him. I've also been told that Wenger is decidedly lukewarm on Aubameyang. Of course, he had a chance to get him back in the summer. And there's a whole other issue with him, too, is that, yeah, you can think of him as a winger, and he obviously played in the wing earlier in his career. But he's been playing center forward the last 3 years. And if you're having fun scoring a ton of goals, well, you want to keep playing there. And, of course, Arsenal already have a pretty pricey center forward in Lacazette. Not to mention Giroud, of course, is still at the Emirates as well. So then that would mean playing 2 up and Mkhitaryan in the hole. And then where do you put Ozil? So you put all these things together, and it doesn't quite make as much sense for Arsenal, perhaps, as some people would have us believe.
Meanwhile, João Mario to West Ham. What can you tell us about him, Gab?
Well, he's somebody who Inter spent a ton of money on, Portuguese international. Never quite made the grade at the San Siro. He's very athletic and is decent on the ball. He's sort of an attacking midfielder type, covers a lot of ground, but certainly unable to crack the starting 11 with any kind of consistency, both last season when he was a novelty and this season under Spalletti.
Do you like him, Gab? Do you think he'll be a success?
No, I mean, not a knock on him. I think he needs the right team. He needs the right team. He needs the right people around him. He certainly struggled with the tactical emphasis in Serie A, and just wasn't good enough on the ball to be a difference maker. So why he would fit in differently necessarily at West Ham, you have to assume maybe David Moyes sees something. In theory, he's a versatile player, but no, this is not a move I'd be making if I were West Ham.
Welcome into Extra Time. We've been given a lot of questions today.
Well,
so no time
okay.
for chit-chat.
All right.
I'm going to go to Gab.
We always get a lot of questions.
Gab's not feeling very well. So, Gab, I don't know what that's got to do with anything
What's that
now.
got to do with going to him?
Will we see headlines tomorrow saying Real Madrid dismissed Zidane after Copa loss? That's from a Barcelona fan.
No, I don't think so. Every indication is that the Champions League is going to be make or break. Of course, that big game coming up against Paris Saint-Germain in about 3 weeks. And personally, I think should they fall at that stage, I don't even think that Real Madrid are going to make a change then. I think that's when they're going to sit down and basically write off the season and think about next year. So, short answer, no.
Then get a big checkbook out and say, here you are, Tottenham, here's 300 million, we'll have Pochettino and Harry Kane. Bish, bash, bosh, everyone's happy.
Is that what you want?
He's smiling.
That'd be good.
Is that what you want?
That would make complete sense, wouldn't it?
Pochettino.
Well, he's not going to win anything at Spurs. He's reached his ceiling there. Time for Harry Kane to make
Where's
the
the
move.
ceiling?
There's the ceiling.
That's a low ceiling.
Well,
by the way. That's a low ceiling.
No. And for him.
Yeah. I can't reach very high.
No,
You go if you Poch and you had that phone call.
of course he would.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He's not getting it.
He's not getting the phone call. Why not?
Well, generally,
Would Kane go? I
Other
think
than-
that's a bigger question.
other than Zidane, I'm guessing that most of the previous managers had actually won a decent amount of silverware before they go to Real Madrid.
Not necessarily.
Well, who other than Zidane?
Well, who else has been there? Bernd Schuster, he hadn't won anything before he went there.
I like how you're going back 25 years.
Well, it's not 25 years, is it?
Bernd Schuster.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's not 25
Years ago.
years. 8 years ago. When he coached Real Madrid.
That's where the information is.
I reckon 8 years ago. No, probably 9 years ago.
8 years ago.
I get no
Not as a-
information again.
Not as a player, as a coach.
I know. I know as a coach.
Well, it's not 25 years, is it?
All right, I was exaggerating a little bit.
Yeah.
I was exaggerating that way as much as you were exaggerating that way in the 8 years.
How much time does it take to realise that cross and hope tactics isn't working? It's been more than half a season now.
Is that
For who?
I don't know which team he's talking about. Rock the world?
Aye.
Well, it's about Real Madrid.
okay? Well, they cross the ball to Benzema, and he's 6 yards out. He's got to be able to score that. So I don't know that they have cross and hope tactics in Real Madrid. I just don't know right now that they have any tactics. And whatever plan they have in place, it's simply not working. The team is disconnected, and individually there's a lack of confidence that is very clear.
Stephen, what is your feeling towards the Nations League? Of course, the draw was made today for this new tournament that kicks off sometime. What do you think of it?
You okay?
Do you know, it's amazing how they never think of the players.
What do you mean? What's it got to do with the players?
It's not a lot to do with the players.
Why?
So all of a sudden now, every single game is 100% at it. Listen, friendlies are good for the coaches. It means they can try things, they can have a look at players, they can do all kinds of things, right?
Come on, Stevie.
What?
Really?
And let me tell you, for players as well, players who are established in the national team, friendlies are okay as well because it's a completely different dynamic stepping on the field in a friendly game to a game that you have to win.
You may also.
It's a totally different dynamic mentally and physically.
You may
so
also-
basically with this tournament, players are not getting a break at all.
You may also take games off if you are established player. You don't need to come in every time. You won't be called in every time simply because you are giving opportunities to other players to be evaluated. That part of it, unless you're a manager that is in a position where you just say, look, I'm going to use this game to evaluate what I have.
But from a fan's perspective, it's great, isn't it?
How's that?
Well, because meaningless friendlies have got a bit of an edge to them. It's what we want.
But if the teams are not very good, then the teams are not very good.
What teams aren't very good?
Well, let's be honest.
What do you mean?
Well, for a start, we're sitting complaining there's going to be far too many teams at the World Cup because they're not that great.
But England, like, for example, all the top seeds are playing each other. It's going to be good games. We're guaranteed of that.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more games that are not that great.
But we had no games that were great before.
Well, I'm coming purely from a player's point of view, right?
And I'm coming from a fan's point of view.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be expecting too much. You sound like you're expecting
Stevie.
World Cup qualifiers every time somebody steps on the field. I can assure you, I bet you that doesn't happen.
Stevie, purely from a player's point of view, since you're going there, right? Scotland are in a group with Albania and some other teams, presumably.
Yeah, can't wait.
I'm imagining that
I can't
if-
wait to watch that. It'll be absolutely
Well,
brilliant.
that's fine. But the thing is, you have a chance to be promoted, and you can play better teams, or you have a chance to avoid relegation, and then you go and you play Gibraltar and stuff like that. Compared to, for example, the European, the qualifiers for the Euros, where if you're Albanian or you're Scottish and you lose the first 3 games, you're out, and then you have a long slog against a bunch of Eastern European teams where it's entirely meaningless to you. Isn't this better? It's shorter. You have a chance to you have a chance to advance. You have a chance to qualify directly for the Euros. You've got games that actually mean something. I mean, this is international football we're talking about. It's slim pickings.
So we'll have a long slog.
I think this is...
And then play the good teams and then get beat.
What do you mean? I mean, if you're Scotland, it could give you the opportunity to...
Why even play international football then? Why not disband the Albania and Scotland? Because, frankly, they're not good. How are they ever going to improve if they never play competitive games?
Come on. Don't fault
No,
to that
I'm serious.
level. Listen, you're beginning to fault to my level. What's that all about?
Stevie, you either go and play a bunch of Muppets and then you say it's boring because everything's rubbish and the football's bad and then this is terrible, or you play meaningless friendly where nobody really tries because nobody cares, or you play Germany and you're 3-0 down after 10 minutes.
Let's make a league.
What are you going to do?
All the rubbish teams and think that it's not going to be rubbish. How's that? Hey?
You're playing teams at your level. At least you have a chance to actually win something.
Level, aye.
And you can improve over time because the games are competitive.
So two rubbish
you can
teams,
actually build something.
So two rubbish teams, you're going to end up with a great game.
Well, you see it all the time. I mean, how many times do we see two great teams and it's a boring 0-0 draw, and we see two bad teams and it's exciting? I mean, you know, if you just want quality, go watch Manchester City every week and watch nothing else because, or Barcelona, because nothing's going to come close.
Yeah, you love international football, don't you? Why you always stick up for international football?
At least they're being proactive. At least they're trying to make these friendlies have some sort of consequence, some interest.
All right. Well, okay, maybe the concept. I don't like the concept. I understand what they're trying to do.
Right. But
again, as I said before, it's not doing anything for the players.
You don't care about the players.
No, well, let's be honest. The players are not really that much involved in it, are they?
Well, no.
So we don't need the players, so why bother about them?
If I bring out that much they get paid, and then you're going to shout at me for that?
No, not at all. I think the boys deserve every penny they get. They work hard. They sacrifice a lot. They get cut in the face.
They do. Does anyone watch the Australia Open tennis?
Absolutely, aye. Me?
Yeah.
Yep. What about it?
I don't know, just asking in general. I
suppose Roger Federer's going to win it or not.
Right.
I mean, the final four, he's going to play either Chung, sorry, tell a lie. He's playing Chung in the semis.
Yeah.
And he's either playing Cilic,
yeah,
or the British guy, Edmund.
Yeah.
Now, where's he from? Where's he from, the British guy?
He's English.
So, do you support him?
Against Federer? No.
Do you support him in general?
Yes.
But you don't particularly support English people?
Generally, no. But he does have ginger hair, and he's a little pasty. So I'm kind of.
Hey, there's a lot to relate to then.
What?
So you love Boris Becker?
Well, I love Boris Becker. Ginger, white as a driven snow, freckly.
He checks all the boxes.
He had it all. He
checks all the boxes.
He wasn't bad at tennis either.
What are your thoughts on the Oscar nominations?
I was surprised that Coco was not nominated.
Coco was fantastic.
Saying,
what a great... Was that not nominated for anything?
Well, it wasn't nominated for Best
soundtrack.
Picture. Wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
Well,
I'm just...
You know what? The problem with all these things, it's all political. It's all political.
Movie politics.
Honest to goodness.
Just stare at your camera, Steve, if you have something to say.
Do you know what you should do? Forget all this, like, only certain people in the industry vote for it.
Right.
Give it to the public. The public are the ones that go and watch the movies.
But then Mohamed Salah would win it somehow. That's what any public vote, somehow Salah will win.
Okay then. So when we're having an election, why do you let the public vote then?
So you want balance, you want the whole shebang.
Hey, that's okay.
Do you want to?
It's not really public voting to get the president or the prime minister.
You know what the public are like? They're idiots. Everyone will come together and they'll vote for the worst film just to annoy the Academy. That's what happens. Isn't it? You know, that's exactly what happens.
Can we ask
that's a rather general statement. The public are idiots.
Yeah, but when you put anything to a public vote, it's like voting McBoatface.
Okay, so why do we ask the public to vote?
What, in elections?
Yes.
Well, it's a
They're all
democracy.
idiots.
Now we're going back. I was talking about these sort of things. I wasn't going political.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Who are we taking these questions from?
This is from
The public?
What's this?
The public.
Yes, this is the public.
Yeah.
Apart from the
In
public.
case you didn't know, you're all a bunch of idiots, by the way.
According to Dan
Come to that guy there.
Excuse me.
His
No,
name's
don't
Dan Thomas.
take my words out of context.
Dan Thomas.
When you vote, because it always goes silly. Do you remember we used to do that feature on like who was the player of the month, and some random Newcastle player won it because all of the Newcastle fans voted for him. You can't trust the public.
No, you're right.
I mean, so right.
And yet we take questions from them.
but send all your questions.
Gab, do you want to talk about the Eagles or the Oscars?
Oh boy, come on now.
Go on, Gab.
I want Gab to tell me that the Oscars are not political.
Look, I would have voted, if I remember the Academy, I would have voted for Sharknado 5. That's how much I care about the Oscars. Whereas I care a lot about my Philadelphia Eagles.
Is this how you got so sick?
Going up to Minneapolis on February 4th to finally end the evil empire. It's like Nick Foles is like the guy in the X-Wing fighter breaching the Death Star.
How many of a start have the bookies given you?
You wait.
How many of a start have the bookies given you?
I could care less. We are underdogs. We were underdogs against the Vikings, underdogs against the Falcons.
Gab,
You need to get one of those
Doesn't
dog
matter.
masks.
the last time the Patriots played the Phillies in the Super Bowl, I was there, and guess who won?
Wait, was that around the time you were filming? You were filming the walkthrough? Or was that just when you were deflating balls? Ain't gonna happen this time. We're in a dome.
Oh, any old excuse. Hey, listen to you.
Why are you covering your ear? How does that help?
No, I was listening to Gab to tell me the answer to me.
How do you
The question was, who won?
What do you put your finger in your ear?
Guess what? It's going to happen again.
What was that? 5 points, by the way, the line.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, well, I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. Yes.
ESPN FC, back on your screens.
We love
tomorrow.
people.
I love the public.
Yeah.
Just don't ask them to
No,
vote for
idiots.
anything.
I want
Don't vote for anything.
Idiots.
Thursday, it is the Catalan Derby tomorrow. We'll be talking about that. 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News.